Following our visit to the Imambara, we went to the Martiniere College for boys. It was founded by the richest Frenchman in India, Major General Claude Martin. He'd arrived in India working for the French. But eventually they were taken over by the British East India Company, who he worked for, and he made an absolute fortune. In the 1790s, he built himself a huge country house called Constantia for his own use. Although having a mistress, Constantine, he never married and he didn't have any children. So on his death, his will stated that 3 schools should be founded. One in Lucknow, one in Calcutta, and one in his birthplace, which was Lyon in France. The plans for the house included a mausoleum in the basement, where he was to be buried according to his instructions. The school opened in 1845 and was run like a British public school, much as it is now. The sort of Eton or Harrow of India. But it didn't get its first Indian headmaster until 1951. It has amazing facilities. It's absolutely enormous. And it even has a pipe band. In the 1857 uprising, what the British call the Indian Mutiny, what the Indians call the First War of Independence, the boys and staff at Lucknow were asked by the British if they would help to defend the residents, which they did with great bravery. And they were all awarded a medal as a consequence. But in 1932, following requests from the school, they were awarded a colour, a bit like a British regiment has colours. And this was to be carried on ceremonial occasions. But because of the differing opinions, the British calling it a mutiny, and the Indians calling it the First War of Independence, I don't think it's ever been paraded for fear of upsetting somebody. It's an amazing place. Come to this place, Martiniere College today. The flowers are just wonderful. Well, this school was originally a house built by a French architect. He was a member of the British East India Company, although he had belonged to the French East India Company, which was taken over by the British. And he built this as his house. But on condition that when he died, it would be converted into a school. It educates 400 boys. There are no girls here at all. And it has a golf course and huge, extensive grounds. But you can only come here by permission. You have to ask permission in order to make a visit. And that was the man, Major General Claude Martin, who was the Frenchman. This is his mistress, Gauri Bibi, and when she died, they made this tomb for her here. Residency was absolutely safe. So his body had to be transported to the... Yes, very public school. I mean, the temperature must be in the 30s. Here they are on some PE lesson doing They're jogging and messing about. There'll be some PE chap at the back of this, rousting them all up. So this is the main house, the main building, or palace, I suppose you'd call it. Very, very flamboyant. There's steps there that go right away up to the flagpole at the top. I'm quite surprised there isn't a flag flying there, to be honest. A school flag. Maybe the headmaster's not his residence. But yeah, that is quite some building, that, for a house, just for you to live in. And this is a poinsettia. Somewhat bigger than the ones we have for Christmas. This is very impressive. And it's nowhere near as impressive as this house is.
Yeah, my son normally buys one and has it till about June.
Really?
And he just completely ignores it. He's wanted it when he remembers.
Yeah.
And the end of the main building is this strange lion. As we come down the steps, you can see the flood level markers. It's amazing. These are the instructions for his the burial of Major General Claude Martin. The house was called Constantia. It was named after the love of his life, who he left in Lyon, where he'd been born. Now, when he got out here, I think he tended to put it to the back of his mind. He had several favourite ladies when he was out here. When the river flooded, this place was full of water. And this is the Major General Martin's sarcophagus in this chapel. Again, when the river floods, this is underwater. And this is we come into the chapel, which is where the boarders have their assemblies. Goodness, they knew how to live, these people. They really did. And at the other end they have this stained glass window. But again, beautiful ceiling. So from one man's house to a school for 4,000 boys, that's quite something. And here we have the Principal's Gallery. All the headmasters or principals of the school, and the hangers for the gowns of the staff, no doubt. And the current headmaster is an old boy, carrying on a tradition. The first Indian headmaster didn't appear until 1951. Very much in the English tradition, mortarboard, gown and hood. Same place. And by Indian standards, very, very expensive. And at the other end of the chapel there's another stained glass window. Boys who were here carved their names on the steps, as it were, at the back of the main building. I suspect that some of them got some professional to carve them out. D. Llewellyn and J. Bearcroft. Although it's a bit wonky, but I think you need hammer and chisel to build that out of there. And most of them, or many of them, are English. There's a relatively modern one which is Indian. The rest of them are So some final views of the school. With the sun on the other side of it. If you look at it from this side, it is in fact quite symmetrical. Not exactly, because the statues are slightly different. And then on each side there's a sort of colonnade on both sides. This gives it a certain kind of symmetry as well. But the design and build out as your private residence on, I think he bought 700 acres. And so he'd obviously made an absolute shed load of money somewhere. If I zoom in, you can see the name somewhere on there. Let me just zoom in. Unfortunately, it's in the shade, but never mind. It's have to put up with it. But that was the name of the house. And behind me is the river. And between the college and the river was this lighthouse, which was used as a mark for where the college was. But you can see the river across there. And here you can see on the walls all the various high flood level marks. But I think that big embankment has been, behind me, has been built since then, which will prevent this. 1960 seems to have been a particularly bad year, but this big embankment, I think, is new and will be to prevent that from happening.